Hey guys, welcome to the Pivot Trade, the channel that helps you profit from trap traders and become profitable traders in the long run. Now, today we will be analyzing Nifty first. This is the analysis of the 1st of June 2022 price action. So now what do we see here? A very important thing we see here is that the first candle is exactly at the CPR. And how is the CPR? It is narrow. So the first candle breaks out of the CPR, and this is a very strong candle which is opening right at or above the central pivot, and you have a very long wick on the bottom, which means that the price was pressed down by the sellers in that session of 5 minutes. And even in spite of the fact that it was pressed down by the sellers, the buyers overcame price, and the price is now being pushed in that 5 minute session upwards up to this particular point here. And so that price is completely, or that session is completely bullish now. Buyers have completely overcome the sellers in that session. That is what price action tells us. So this particular first candle is a very bullish sign, plus given the fact that there is a narrow CPR, tells us that it is a super bullish sign. But usually what happens is when the price breaks out of the CPR, it is seen that the price will go and reach the previous day high. You could see how the previous day high and the R1 are close together, and in such price action you can actually ignore the R1 pivot here, and you can take a trade where you can book your profit with the PDH. That is what is usually seen, but that is not exactly what I have been teaching in my strategy videos, or what I have been teaching in all these post analysis videos. What have I been teaching? Usually when you see such a large green candle, don't go and buy here. It's a mistake. Going long here is a mistake. Why is it a mistake? Because if you go long here, where is the place to keep your SL? You're going to keep your SL here. Even if you keep that SL there, it's a very big SL, and look at the profit area. It's so small compared to the SL, or it's probably as big as the SL is. So that's not a very good idea. So don't go long there. There is no reason to go long here anywhere and keep your SLs hanging in midair here. Okay, so instead of going long here and keeping your SLs hanging somewhere here, or even a big SL like this, what you should do is you should wait for price to come back to the day's low and see what sort of price action is made at that particular day's low. Since this was a particularly narrow CPR, that CPR can easily be ignored. Once the price comes down, you have to mark off the low of this day. Then, since this is a narrow CPR, you can see here that the price has gone through the CPR and then it has reversed down. Correct? And now you can see that it has made this particular strong green candle at the very base. Now this is what I have talked about in my strategy video, that here if you see a green candle, then you know that the buyers are actually giving a push to price once again, and it's a good sign to go long. Now instead of going long here, you want to go long on this particular candle here. What was the candle? It was the 9:45 AM candle. Why would you want to go long there? Because if you mark this low here and you know that that is a good base for price, because it has formed another green candle when it came and retraced back to that area again, then you can go long here, because you know that the buyers are going to again push the price up, at least up to the high of this particular day here, or rather the high that the price had made on this particular day here. And so you can enter here. You can keep your SL below it somewhere in this area. This can be your SL, and then your target can be this big. Okay, so since that was not a exact 1:1, or rather 1:2 trade, what you can actually do is you can wait for the price to give you some sort of correction after this particular green candle here. So after this green candle, if price tends to correct a little bit here, then you can enter somewhere here in this area, and you can keep your SL here, and then you can book your profits at the high here. Now here if you had entered, then in this area your SLs would have been triggered. And really that is not something that you should be worried about, because that is going to happen once in a while. Price is going to show some volatility around that area, and since the price came down crashing here like this, I had also tweeted in the morning that you should stop getting trapped here. So entering here is a trap. Stop getting trapped. Read price action. If price is falling like this after the first candle, then it means that there is a definite amount of large number of people who have gone long here, and that's why all these strong red candles are being formed, where price goes and takes support at the very low of the day. And since it's a narrow CPR, you can expect a breakout also, but generally what happens is breakouts fail. So unless you see that there is a very strong reason to go for breakouts, I would not suggest you to go for breakouts, rather think of reversals. And look, you can see here that the price has gone down a little bit and then corrected and then gone up again here. So the idea here is that you can take a trade here where you can see that there has been a breakout of that level. Now this candle particularly broke out of that level, so even if you went short on this candle, after you went long, your SLs would have been triggered, but after you went short here again, the very next candle, your SLs would have been triggered here also. So that is why these strong green candles right up to the CPR, they went right through the CPR also. Here took a resistance again at the almost the high of this particular red candle here, and then from there it started falling again. So that is volatility for you. That is how volatile markets are these days. But you should stick to one strategy. You should not change the strategy just because one day your strategy did not fire. And then you could see that we had already marked this level of 16,522. You can see here that that level was a demand zone, but I had said in yesterday's video that that level might not be very important now, because it has already taken buying twice. So you can see here that the buying came from here and it came from here as well. So it might not be a very important level when it is retested. So you can see here that once price came back there, it had made this particular green candle here, but then the very next candle broke out of that zone. Then it came to the monthly pivot here. It took some support at the monthly pivot, then the monthly pivot was also broken, and then price fell further down. So you could see here that the levels were not respected, and the price has somehow entered the gap area that we have marked here. You can see here is the gap that we have marked, and the gap is right here, box with the black borders. That is how you should mark out levels. What is the important level? I'll explain to you again. Now the first and the very important level is this level, which you had coming from the first or the opening candle's low here. And then when price actually went back here and made a green candle, that was the signal to go long. But then the very next candle broke out of it. Then this candle, since it closed outside the range of the first candle, then if you are taking a trade based on those patterns, then you already know that there are levels marked here. And if you can see, then this being the upper border of the gap, there might be a chance that the price might bounce from there. So yes, the CPR was telling you that there was a chance that the breakout will work, but then you could see that instantly after the breakout the price shot up. So had you gone long on this candle, your SL would have been triggered. Had you gone short on this red candle, your SL would have been triggered here, and that is something that you cannot really help. So that was the price action analysis of Nifty, and why we say that demand supply zones are important, this day clearly shows us. So now we will go to the 15-minute time frame and we will just check what sort of price action we find there as important. Okay, so this is the 15-minute time frame, and you can see that the day high has become an important supply zone now, because you can see how price has fallen from there. Let's measure it from the day high to the day low. It has fallen more than 200 points in Nifty, so we will mark that area as a strong resistance or a supply zone now. So this area will act as a strong resistance once price comes to that area now, and that level is around 16,650. We will delete these areas. We will also kind of shorten down the gap now. This is reduced. We will reduce it to the low of this particular candle, so that gap still remains. and we do not have a virgin CPR, we will delete the level of 16505 also. Okay, and we have one important level here which coincides with the CPR, which is the 16544.45 level, which is not very important to be marked because it is coinciding with the CPR at the moment. We will check after later in the evening if the CPR value changes, but as of today we do see a narrow CPR going forward tomorrow also. It's less than 15 points. What was the CPR like today? It was similarly around 15 points or even less than 15 points. So we see a similar CPR coming up tomorrow, but we will have to give it time and we will check later in the evening what sort of CPR we see. So we have all other levels marked. Do not change any other levels. They are all important and they will continue being so in the future as well. It is important to mark all these levels where price has reversed or bounced from or fallen from. So wherever there is a trend change, you should always mark those trend changes. That is very important. So I think we're done with Nifty's price action. We will head over to Bank Nifty now. Now here we see Bank Nifty. You can see how in Bank Nifty it opened with a green candle which was a strong bullish pattern, and it opened just below the CPR. So you can see how the opening is right here and it closes right inside the CPR. You can see how it is taking resistance at around the central pivot, and you can see the second candle also. It's a very strong bullish pin bar. So sellers tried to come into play at the central pivot, but they could not. Then the buyers pushed the price right through the CPR in the very first candle itself. Now, do you consider this as a CPR breakout? You should not consider that as a CPR breakout for the simple reason that it has come immediately after the day opened, and generally when price breaks out of a level very easily and very early in the day, and when the CPR is not very wide, as you can see in Bank Nifty it's very narrow, then that CPR breakout will usually not sustain. Although you can see here that when price reversed, it took support at the bottom central and then shot ahead from there. But then you could also see that there was no real strength in that rally. There was no real power in that rally. Then Bank Nifty took a resistance here at this level. It kind of fought to break that level, but it could not. And then after it reached that level, it broke down from there, and then it came right down to the CPR. And then nothing to analyze in this sort of price action. It just kept going in a single direction after it took resistance here, and the fall was in a single direction until it came and went up to the day's low here. So you can see at the day's low, if you were to mark this particular day's low, you could mark this at this level. So you can see that the day's low has not been convincingly broken, and price action has shown us that it has taken some support here, in fact a very strong support. And then you could see here that there was a mild short covering rally in the end of the session, towards the end of the session. Now when did the rally start? It actually started at 3 p.m. So it was not really mild. You can see here that from 3 p.m, if you consider this as the open of this particular candle, then it made a high of around 350 or more than 350 points from there. So that was in a matter of how much? 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. So it went to the very high of that particular day, or this particular day, almost to the very high in about 20 minutes time, in just 4 candles. And you can see how long it had taken to fall from there. See that? You can see the price action. It had taken so long to fall from there. In fact, it was the 11:50 a.m. candle, and it was the around the 14:50 p.m. candle that reached that particular low, and from there it has shot up to the same high again within about 20-25 minutes or max half an hour. So that's how strong price action can be when you see that there is a day low support at that level. You could also see that there is a very peculiar weekly pivot support there where it has coincided with the day's low support. So that is one good entry point, as I had talked about in Nifty. It's the same principle that applies in Bank Nifty. And you can also see how we had marked a demand zone at this level, and price has taken support at the same level here. Now going forward, now when the price has reached that level again, you can see here that price has taken support exactly at that same level of 35,330, and you could see that there was a strong short covering. So that is the price action in Bank Nifty. Now, where was the probable or the possible trade here? Generally, you should mark off the low of this particular candle, and you should see when the price retraces back to that low, then what sort of price action happens in this particular area. Now, there is no point going and buying here and keeping your SL here. Okay, that is a very big SL. Don't do that mistake. Again, as I explained in Nifty, just wait for the price to retrace back to this particular low here, and then you should see what sort of price action you get to see here. You can see this pin bar here followed up with a green candle. That is the sign to go long. And here you can see how you can trap these traders. You can benefit from these trap traders because all these traders were short once they saw this fall. And then why were these candles so big? Because it was a short covering rally. It was a panic situation in Bank Nifty. Yesterday we saw that here the long traders were trapped. Here we have seen that the short traders were trapped. Okay, so let's look at the levels based on price action. We'll just extend the gap. The gap still remains. We'll just adjust it a little bit, and we can see that there is a strong supply zone here because Bank Nifty has taken a fall, but that level might not be extremely important to going forward. Okay, so just keep an eye out on that level when price comes to that level again, but it might not be very important because we have seen that level being retested. So the fall came yesterday and the fall has come today. So that is why I said that that level might not be extremely important for trading in the future now. But of course, you need to keep an eye on that level. And obviously we have a zone there. So we will mark a zone where price has actually fallen again. Because in spite of the short covering rally, it could not go through that level here, right? So the zone is intact. It has not been broken yet. And that is the reason why we are marking it. Now the day low acts as a strong support. So where do we mark the support? We will mark the support at the base of this particular candle, which has not been broken yet. But since it coincides with the S1, just ensure that you don't get very confused when the price comes to that level. Okay, and we have a zone here obviously. So we will mark another level here, which we already had marked prior, but we will just repeat that and we'll mark a zone like this. So that entire zone is going to be important, and this is the zone that I'm talking about. So just ensure that you're very careful when price comes to that level. You might see another bounce there, or you might see a breakdown from there and then a reversal from there. Whatever you see, you can go ahead and trade. Now let's go to the 15-minute time frame and let's check if anything else needs to be marked based on the 15 minutes. No, that is all that we need to mark. And we will just extend the Virgin CPR forward. We have all other levels marked initially. Just check out the daily time frame here. Okay, we see that on a daily time frame we've gone into a kind of a consolidation mode here. So now unless this level, which is the level of around 36,100 or rather 36,090, around that area is broken, the high of this candle or the low of this candle is broken, we will see the price going in this particular range itself. We are in this important zone right now. Okay, and this zone is important for Bank Nifty. If this particular low sustains, then we can see an upside movement here, and we want to see this particular high being broken. Then the important level will be this particular level on top, which is around 36,700, around that area. So then we could be, or we might be able to see 36,700 in Bank Nifty. So we need to see what sort of price action unfolds in the upcoming days or this particular week also. I'm not sure if we will be able to see that level immediately in this week itself. Yeah, that is it, I think, for the price action analysis in Nifty and Bank Nifty. I hope you've liked this video. If you have, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you're notified each time I post a new video. And do leave your comments in the comment box below. I do read each and every of your comments. Thank you guys for your support and for your time. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.